Good to go, Jolly.
Thank you. Are individuals able to freely unmute themselves, or no? It's controlled by the host. And
Just
I'm
figured
able
that.
to. I'm able to.
okay, I just don't want anyone. I don't know if anyone signed up for public comment, but there is a portion where we have just an open discussion and any announcements. Just want to be able to make sure that people can do that to the extent that they would like to. The time is now 6:05. My name is Jolly Hatchet, and I am calling this public meeting to order in reference to the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. Today is March 7th, 2023. At this point in time, read the opening colloquy. This CPOC Commissioner meeting is hereby called to order. The time is 6:05. Again, as I stated previously, my name is Jolly Hatchet. I'm the chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and I will facilitate this meeting. This is a public meeting of the Citizens Police Oversight Commissioners that was properly advertised pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. At this time, we'll ask that roll call be taken. Anthony, are you in a position to do that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Jolly Hatchet,
Present.
Afroza Hussein,
Present.
Ben Lerner,
Present.
Hassan Bennett,
Present.
John Solomon,
Present.
Elder Melanie Dubose,
I am present.
Mary Ellis Santiago,
Present.
Rosaura Thomas,
Present.
Hakeem PA.
Present.
All right, Chair. Everyone is present and accounted for.
Thank you. And I would just also like to note that there are individuals who are present, which I presume by invitation, one of which being Jameson Rogers, Layla Khalil. Is that accurate, Anthony?
Yeah, that is accurate.
And if there's anyone else that I missed who is present by invitation, just let me know and I can update that in the notes at a later time. At this time, the first order of business on the agenda is the approval of the February public meeting minutes. Everyone should have had an opportunity to review those. At this point in time, take your time if you need to. But does anyone have a motion to approve the February public meeting minutes? My apologies.
I move the approval of the minutes of the February meeting.
And that was Judge Lerner. Thank you. And that was Mary Ellis who seconded. Any opposed? Okay, so by virtue of that, I will assume that all of the commissioners are in favor. Thank you, everyone. The next order of business, I'm not sure if there were any community comments. Anyone signed up for community comments? No.
No one signed up.
Okay, at this point in time, out of all of the individuals present, does anyone have a community comment, or we can wait until the discussion and announcements? Okay, hearing now, we'll get into the first order of business or report, which is an executive director report. Anthony, are you in a position to give us that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. We only have a few things tonight. The first is the complaint log. We had 12 complaints in February that were forwarded to Internal Affairs for investigation. That makes 28 total for year to date. We have, as we discussed briefly in the executive session, we have two new hires for CPOC. Jameson Rogers, who is our new Director of Investigations, and Layla Khalil, who is our new Senior Policy Analyst. We are extremely excited to have both of them with us. They're both brilliant. And if at some point during the discussion, if you guys would like to talk with them, they're available to you. And we will also make them available to you as individuals or small groups or large groups. If you guys want to talk to them sort of offline and just kind of pick their brains. We will also forward some background information on both to all commissioners first thing tomorrow morning. But we are very excited to have both of them with us. We are very lucky to have both. The final issue that we have to discuss is, of course, the budget that the administration's proposed budget, which came out later last week, I think Wednesday of last week. In that budget, CPOC remains static at 2.4. There were no increases allotted for our budget, but it's just the beginning. And I know I communicated with you guys via email a little bit, but we're going to be putting together within the next week a document that lists for all of you to consider, that shows kind of where we are, what we think we need, and give some room for you guys to contribute or change. So we'll give you that document hopefully Monday or Tuesday. And then if we can convene maybe an executive session prior to the budget hearing, we can consider things like, what you guys think of it, any tweaks you guys would like, basically really anything, right? So, and also during budget season, this is the time for commissioners to activate their networks to advocate for CPOC and our needs and our build out moving forward. So also at the budget hearing, which is March 28th in the morning, I can't say when they'll call us, but we will probably have to testify at some point. So if we can also talk later about what that looks like, and if any commissioners would like to be present to support or speak. So look for that at the beginning of next week, and then we can all discuss it further.
Thank you, Anthony. Any other remarks, or does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report. Thank you, Chair.
And any questions for Anthony based on his report or comments?
I have a comment. My experience in appearing annually before City Council to try to get money out of them for the Defender Association quickly taught me that the active participation of members of the Board of Directors in this process is extremely helpful. And we are the Board of Directors of this organization. And every one of us is here because somebody on City Council thought we ought to be here. Those kinds of networks and contacts, even if we're not called on to say anything at all at the appropriation hearing, in my experience, are very meaningful. And I would hope that some of us are going to be able to accompany Anthony at these hearings.
And I will say, I am pretty confident we have a lot of really strong support in council. So even though it wasn't a number that we were looking for from the administration, I do feel pretty confident that if we articulate it the right way and give a strong presence, that we'll be successful.
I'll be there. I do have a question. When are we as commissioners going to unite to start speaking and interviewing some of the people who have filed cases against police officers?
First, I'll ask if Anthony wants to weigh on that. I do have thoughts. I think that to the extent that the opportunity, well, Anthony, did you want to weigh in?
Well, I mean, it depends on really what you mean by that. I mean, because the complaint process is kind of a fixed one, and the mechanism for complaint investigation is kind of a fixed one. For us, as we hired Jameson to build out our investigative capacity, we're creating a process in a forum. If you mean like investigatively, like the staff traditionally, like the staff in internal affairs are the investigative mechanisms for complaints, right? So, but if you're talking about like sort of people telling you their stories so you can advocate for issues related, I mean, I wasn't really sure if that's where you were going with that, but if there's to interview complainants, it's like kind of a formal investigative process.
Well, the last meeting that Mary Ellis and I were there, they want to see us, not just myself or Mary Ellis or Hakeem or Hassan. They want us to see us as a group and they want to be able to communicate with us. That was the impression that I got from many of our community people that attended
Right.
these meetings. So, and you were there, Anthony, so I get the feeling that as a group, they want to see us, they want to be able to communicate with us directly. So I don't know if I'm overstepping.
No, not at all.
No?
I think I just misunderstood what you meant. I mean, I think
Yes.
like,
So-
like for,
A different
that-
aspect of interviewing.
right.
Is
Yeah.
that
For that, I
after the
mean, like,
resort?
Yes, Charlene.
right. Sorry, you mean for like the community to like speak to you, interact with you in like,
Yes.
yes, that already exists. It exists in this forum. It exists in town halls. And
Okay.
as we sort of get back into the real world of community meetings, I mean, if you guys show up to interact with the community, that is your opportunity. Like, and also as individuals, if
Okay.
there are, I know all of you come from different places in the city, all of you have different issues that are important to you. So if you want to come to us and say, hey, Anthony, this is what we want to do. Like, I want a meeting on this in my neighborhood, right? Like, then we'll set one up, and you and whoever, any other commissioners can come and be present and interact, sort of kind of within the worlds that you inhabit, but our community outreach has capabilities increased exponentially, and it's going to do it again in the next month or so. So we really that's entirely up to you. So if you call tomorrow and say, I think you mentioned before you were in the 15th, that was right. So if you want us to do something in the 15th and you have an idea and an issue, just give us a call and we'll get there and we'll give you a seat, and the community will be able to interact with you on any level that you'd like.
And I do, the only thing I would
go
add
ahead,
to that is that Talia does a good job of putting out when the upcoming events are and everything like that. And as far as I know, I'm sure Talia will correct me, but I've never not been invited or been turned away from a CPOC event. But I'm sorry, Rosario, did you have something else you wanted to add? Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Any other questions or comments as it relates to Anthony's executive director report? Is anyone interested in right now hearing from the two new hires, or does anyone want to do that at a later time or at the discussion and announcement time? I think it just flows. I'm not in a rush.
I would love to hear from you guys. And if you wanted to tell us a little bit about yourselves, that would be great.
Mhm.
Go for it, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start. Jameson Rogers. I'm a 13-year law enforcement veteran of the City of Chester Police Department. I'm a Delaware County native. To give you a little background on myself and my career, as mentioned a little bit earlier, to Ms. Rosetta, is that obviously I started in basic patrol. Then after a year of service in basic patrol, they moved me up to FTO, which is a field training officer, where at that time I was able to train other officers in how to do the job the correct way. After about a year and a half after that, I was moved to the narcotics division, where I did investigative work, wiretaps, and undercover operations. I was fortunate enough to be promoted to the rank of corporal about 2 years after that, and I was patrol supervisor and the youngest patrol supervisor in the department at the time. I patrol supervisor for about 2 years, and then I moved up to major crimes and homicide in 2017. So what brought me here is the things that I've learned in policing and understand the gaps between the community and law enforcement and the lack of trust, and what was originally PAC that moved into CPOC and the legislation that was signed to give more powers in a sense to the commission, and that's being director of investigations. What my goal is, and I intend on achieving, is building an investigative unit using my institutional knowledge of understanding law enforcement, reading the reports as they would write them when incidents would happen, and to be able to dissect them in a way to see what's credible and not credible, and to be that voice and to have comprehensive investigations that are fact-based and objective and transparent for everyone. And for those that feel that they have been victimized by those in the Philadelphia Police Department, to do whatever this investigation unit can to help make them whole. And that's why I'm here.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you find it a bit difficult? You're a police officer, and once a police officer, that mindset, don't get me wrong, because I was married to one for many years, as a police officer. Will you find it difficult? Because you will be helping investigating police officers.
No, I won't find it difficult at all. And it is a cliche, but I truly believe that no one despises a bad cop more than a good cop. And it's because it's a profession that I have no regrets about. Profession. I love being in law enforcement for, close to a decade and a half. And the the basis of law enforcement is something that you should be proud of in serving your community. So when there are people that have represented my occupation and my badge, my rank, and different positions that I've held and have given that a bad light, then no, they should be held to account. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that the right people are serving the citizens of Philadelphia, and do whatever we can to rid those of the guys that should not be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
For
welcome.
saying that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalva. Judge Lerner, I saw your screen light up. I'm not sure if you were coming off to say something.
No, I don't think there's anything that I could say that would be as impressive and eloquent as what I just heard.
Thank you, Judge. I just have one
Thank
question.
you. I
for
appreciate
Mr.
that.
Thank you for the background information. Have you do you have prior experience doing internal investigations or anything similar to what you'll now be tasked with doing?
No. So in Delaware County, there is, out of the district attorney's office, there is a unit called special prosecutions. So each department does not have an internal affairs, right? So as a patrol supervisor, I have written up people and I have referred things to special prosecution, as some that have ended in suspension, some that ended in arrest and of disciplinary actions. What I will say to that note is that what makes me uniquely qualified for this position, and that I'm humbled and honored to take, is the fact that a criminal investigation is a criminal investigation, whether the target of that investigation is a civilian or a law enforcement official. The same investigative steps are taken to get to the sound conclusion of what potential criminal investigation may be afoot, or what criminal activity may be afoot. So what my goal is, and why I feel I'm the best person for this position, is because every experience I've had in law enforcement, from being basic patrol to major crimes and homicide, touches on every point of policing. So when we do get a complaint, whether it's it's a proactive traffic stop, which is a term that I wholly disagree with, or a narcotics investigation, or a investigative pedestrian stop that a citizen may complain about, feeling that their rights are violated, I can easily dissect those reports and look for red flag language that comes in the reports. One thing that I'll touch on is something that police officers use a lot, is superlative movements in being a reason to take someone out of a vehicle. That is a very vague statement. It could mean a lot of different things, and to a lot of different people. So the institutional knowledge that I have with my experience can lead to leading a unit to sound conclusions and objective and transparent investigations.
Thank you so much for that. Layla, good evening. If you wanted to share some words with us about yourself, you are welcome to do so.
Thanks, Shelly, and awesome. I'm happy to follow Jameson, who is such a great addition, who I met yesterday and is part of my cohort of joining CPOC. And I'm so glad you all seem to be really warmed by him, because he's such a great asset to this team. And okay, so I'm Layla Khalil. I'm she, her, I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior policy analyst who just started on Monday. And I'm actually coming from City Hall, from a council member's office, Councilmember Kendra Brooks. A lot of the work that we did in Councilmember Brooks' office focused on public safety and reimagining what it means to be a part of an expansive idea of what public safety could look like in Philadelphia. And a big part of our mission in our legislative work or in our constituent services in that office was really to enhance transparency with the public and for folks who oftentimes were, did not believe in city services, to be as open and transparent as possible in our work in order to build connections and relationships between the agencies that are servicing Philadelphians and Philadelphians themselves. And I'm really excited to come to CPOC because I'm really eager to expand my skills that I have built in City Hall, but also bring what I've learned in City Hall, which is being a really robust community member, but also being someone who uses my skills and legal knowledge to apply a lens to the community members' voice and ideas. And hopefully with that, creating a really positive feedback loop between city government and community members so that we can facilitate the kind of city that Philadelphians would like to see and really deserve. Yeah, so I said a lot there. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments for Layla? I guess you said enough. So thank you for that. Next order of business is the executive director search update. And I am happy. First of all, I would be remiss if I did not thank Elder Melanie DeVos, Hassan Bennett, and Judge Lerner for the tireless amount of work that they've been putting in. I think 2 Saturdays ago, we were on a call just going through for hours on end. And so with that being said, there are 5 individuals that will move on to the next and likely final or semi-final phase. And interviews are scheduled to commence March the 14th. That's it. If anyone else on the HR committee wanted to say anything else or provide any comments, please feel free. All right. Thank you for that. Next up is a general counsel update. Froze or anyone on that HR committee, to the extent that there's any information. I know I briefly touched base with some of the people on there. I know that it got off to a really good start. But to the extent that you need anything from us, if we could be of any assistance or anything like that.
Actually, Judge Lerner is going to sit in tomorrow morning with us for one of our meetings where we're going to go over the rubric for the interview questions. So we're on track. We're pleased that more people have applied for the position, and we're going to hopefully start interviewing by mid-March.
That sounds great. And Judge Lerner, to the extent that any other information that we meaning the executive director HR committee came up with that you think may be helpful, please feel free to share.
Thank you. That might turn out to be helpful.
Okay. Next, I'll just jump into if there are any discussions or announcements generally, because that's essentially going to conclude the public portion of our meeting. Hassan, you have your hand up. Hassan? Okay. Any discussions or announcements? Because after this, we will go into an executive session. Okay. Hearing none. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I will ask all of the commissioners to stay on. I'll ask Danny and Anthony to stay on as well. And unless anyone has any questions or comments or anything for the commissioners, that will conclude our public portion of the meeting. Okay, so